everyone, this is Rasco here, and if you saw my video from yesterday, then you know what this video is. This video is to declare my top 10 favorite Pokemon from every region, starting from Kanto and all the way to Unova, in honor to Pokemon X and Y coming out this Saturday. Now, this is a top 10 list, but there is one thing that I have to do. An honorable mention. So, the honorable mention, aka number 11. Caterpie, Metapod, Butterfree, Weedle, Kakuna, Beedrill, etc, etc, etc. These bug Pokemon are here to teach new players the basic of Pokemon battle, level up, and evolution. They have a special place in most people's hearts, especially people who started with Kanto like me, Gen 1ers if you want to call them, but I'm not really a Gen 1er. These Pokemon hold a special place in your heart because these are most of the time first Pokemon you fully evolved, or you saw in the anime, or the main protagonist like Ash or May or Brock or whatever had this Pokemon. So they're here as an honorable mention to show off the basic understanding of the Pokemon games. So let's move on with the real list now. Number 10. Evie, Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon. Now these guys are here because, well, they're unique. Evie especially, mostly Evie, but back in Generation 1, you had the choice of evolving this little Pokemon via a Water Stone, Fire Stone, or Thunderstone into one of these three Pokemon. Everyone picked either Vaporeon or most likely Jolteon, if you didn't catch a Pikachu or an electric type. So that would be most it. Unfortunately, they're at number 10, mostly because, well, back in Generation 1, the only useful one, fully useful, was Jolteon because of its speed, and it could learn the one technique that can kill any psychic type, which is Pin Missile. Yeah. Not many Pokemon learned that technique, and Jolteon was one of the few. Vaporeon was a very close second, because of its HP and defense. This thing was a tank. And if anyone picked Flareon, well, you were an idiot because Flareon is more physical based. With that said and done, let us move on to number 9. Number 9, Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. Now these two are actually here because, well, they're actually pretty cool looking design. Of course, everyone knows that Hitmonchan is based off Jackie Chan, and Bruce Lee was based off Hitmonlee was based off Bruce Lee. Wow, I got that really screwed up. These two are on the list because of their unique design and the reference they show, as well as being only one of a kind back in the old days. In Generation 1, you got to pick either Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan, and pray to God, if you had a friend, pick the opposite. Or you made a deal with your friend. You know, we pick this one, I'll pick this one, and we trade. You know, and if you like the other one, then fine, we'll do it the other way. Whatever. They both have their own unique characteristic. Hitmonchan learned something called the Elemental Punches, which were Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, and Fire Punch, which at the time, only very few Pokemon learned of that basic element. Nowadays, anyone, because of breeding, and almost anyone can learn it. Hitmonlee learned a lot of kick moves, double kick, high jump kick, mega kick, and things like that. And made them very unique. They both had good stats, but what holds them back is that I think that they were overshadowed by Machop, Machoke, and Machamp, as well as Mankey and Primeape. But I like these two as, like I said, the reference they show and their designs. Moving on to number 8 now. Number 8, Electabuzz or Magmar. Depending on which version you got, blue version for Magmar and red version for Electabuzz, you got pretty good Pokemon. These two were the other two Pokemon that learned Thunder Punch and Fire Punch back in the old generation. Electabuzz is a speedy, powerful Pokemon, while Magmar is more of a defensive, but they both have their own unique traits. Both of them have an interesting design, as well as moments in the anime, I believe, that were showing them off. These two were found in only one specific location. Magmar was found in the old on Cinnabar Island in the Pokemon Mansion, while Electabuzz was found in the power plant. And again, these two are, like I said before, in a unique design, each learning a unique attack, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, until Hitmonchan. And depending on which version you got, you probably prefer the other. I have to admit, I like both. And Gen 2 brought on their pre-evolution, and Gen 4 brought on a new evolution. So, with that said and done, I think this is where, in my opinion, this is where they deserve. And this is a very, like I said, very unique design and awesome Pokemon in the end. Moving on to number 7. Number 7. My starting Pokemon for Gen 1. Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur. Yes, I took the easy route without actually knowing about it, though. Don't forget this. Back then, we didn't have the internet and books to tell us, oh, pick this Pokemon to have an easy time, hard time, or in the middle time. So, it's not like today where we go, oh, okay, this is what they learned, this is how the gyms is set out, fine, this is what we'll do. This is who I'm going to pick. But no, back then, you looked at the design, and you either picked it, liked it or hated it, and then picked it. Or ignored it completely. Most players I know, even my friends, and I've seen a lot of other not only LPers, but people who just play the game, pick Charmander right off the bat. And then your rival picks Squirtle, and Bulbasaur sits on Oak's desk forever, alone. Unfortunately for me, that was Squirtle in most of my cases. Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Venusaur each have a unique design, and yes, I know Venusaur's getting a Mega Evolution in Pokemon X and Y. Can't wait to do that, because yes, I am picking up X and Y, both versions, I know. And I'm getting the Mega Evolutions for most of the Pokemon, because I'm going to be trading between my two 3DSs. Now, I like the design as well as their evolution. Bulbasaur looks like a little bulb. It has like a little... They look like dinosaurs, to be honest, with... literally a bulb stick onto their back. But this is really interesting. I like it. And it's here because not only is it my first Pokemon I ever picked, and my first Pokemon I usually start off with whenever I played the original versions, it's also one of my favorite Pokemon in the original generation. The only reason it's number 7 because there are 6 other Pokemon, that are way better than it. Number 6. Magikarp and Gyarados. Okay, you guys knew this was going to be on the list, but you didn't know where. But still, Magikarp and Gyarados are here because, well, obviously the Magikarp is here because everyone's like, oh my god, this thing is so pathetic. And once people got to level 20 and evolved into Gyarados, people were like, oh my fucking god, this thing is so awesome. This is the ultimate, this isn't a joke Pokemon. This is based off of mythology in Chinese history, in China, that a carp swam up a river, jumped over a gate, and became a dragon. For those not in the know, originally Gyarados and a few others I will mention later down the road when we get to another one of my favorites on the list, was supposed to be a water dragon. Unfortunately, back in Gen 1, the only dragon move was Dragon Rage. This is why he became a water flying. I'm impressed they haven't changed it since then. But still, this is like the ultimate... Yeah, well, Magikarp used Splash. Yes, it does nothing. But I can't wait to level 15 so it can learn freaking Tackle. Tackle. Level 20. Evolves into Gyarados. I have now the giant fuck you Pokemon of all time. Gyarados is also a very cool looking design. Especially in Generation 1, they were really trying to look for unique and powerful designs. I'm not saying that designs in later gens aren't like this, but I still prefer Gyarados a lot. And it's probably everyone's first shiny, although it doesn't technically count, was the shiny Gyarados in Gen 2. But we'll get to that in Gen 2. And now let's move on to number 5. Number 5, Aerodactyl. Yes, I know this is a little odd choice, but Aerodactyl is one, again, of those unique Pokemons. You went to Pewter City, got the Amber Stone, went back to Cinnabar Island, and it became an Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl is actually a unique Pokemon. I like its design. Yes, it's just a Aerodactyl, but it's a rock flying type. Again, like Gyarados, originally this was supposed to be a rock dragon type. Unfortunately, again, this became a rock flying due to the fact the only move was Dragon Rage. And ice types were the only things super effective besides Dragon on other Dragon Pokemon. And Dragon Rage wasn't super effective since it did a base damage of always 40. So, Aerodactyl, design-wise, yes, it's a pterodactyl with a more longer jaw. And some of its Pokedex entries, from what I remember, are somewhat savage, but still. Cool looking Pokemon. Lance had this also in the Pokemon Champion. The Pokemon Champion, Lance had it. And yeah, you got your chance to get on it. And it was pretty decent back in Generation 1. Moving on to number 4. Number 4. Vulpix and Ninetails. Okay, I gotta explain this before I get the entire internet up on my ass. Yes, I prefer Vulpix and Ninetails over Growlithe and Arcanine because I started with blue version. I'm not saying that Growlithe and Arcanine don't deserve a spot. I just prefer these two. A lot of you are going, why didn't you tie it with like Hitmonchan? Because I really like Vulpix and Ninetails more in design wise. And in the fact that they have some tie to mythology. Well, Japanese mythology anyways. Ninetails is based off the QB, which is a mythical Japanese creature that like to cause destruction. And Vulpix, well, as cute, it's very cute. Brock had one, I liked it, and it was very lovable. Ninetails just has a cool design as well. It's just too bad Tail Whip is not 9 times more effective. Bad joke, I know. And still, I like the design. I had blue version, so they became my favorite. Anytime I can find Vulpix or Ninetails in the game, I immediately try to get it. I try to get it as soon as possible. In the meantime, I'll take whatever fire type I can get. So yeah, that's my reason for liking them. Cool design, very cute, and just all in all, I prefer it over Growlithe and Arcanine. Moving on to number 3. Number 3. Dratini, Dragonair, and Dragonite. Of course, this was going to be on the list. You just guys didn't know where, most likely. Dratini, it can be caught pretty early in the game. As early as I believe, if it wasn't Gen 1. Fuchsia City. In the Safari Zone, if you surfed in fish. If you managed to catch one, you got lucky. And if you decide to train it, it became Dragonite. Well known for causing Hyper Beam, of course. Best known for using Hyper Beam. But still. Back then, of course, Dragon moves were obsolete. Were one Dragon Rage. But still, it could learn very good amount of TMs and HMs, which compensated for the Dragon Rage only attack. Very unique. It's basically a serpent evolving into a legged dragon. Yes, its design is pretty basic or very iffy if you wish. Still one of the coolest Pokemon back in Generation 1. Like I said, if you decide to train it and make it evolve all the way, you had yourself a hell of a powerhouse. Moving on to number 2. Number 2. Pikachu and Raichu. Oh, okay, you guys knew what was going to be on the list. You just did. You just were expecting it. Just if it was number 1 or number 2. Oh, yeah. Pikachu and Raichu are number 2 because there is one better Pokemon out there. In my favorites. Pikachu and Raichu each have a unique spot in everyone's heart. Pikachu for being the mascot of the entire goddamn thing. And Raichu for being even more powerful than Pikachu and having a better design. Yes, I like Raichu's design much better than Pikachu's. These two, if you were patient enough to look through the Viridian Forest, you found yourself a Pikachu early on, and once you hit Celadon City and got yourself a Thunderstone, you evolved it into Raichu to become a lot more powerful and a lot cooler looking. Pikachu and Raichu can learn a very amount of TMs and HM back in Generation 1, as well as being one of the few electric types in the game. The second fastest electric Pokemon next to Voltorb and Electrode. Yes, I'm not joking. Electrode and Voltorb were one of the fastest Pokemon back in Generation 1. if not the fastest. Of course, one of the reasons they're up this high on the list is, well, like I said, Pikachu's the mascot of the entire thing. Most likely the fourth Pokemon I believe you saw in the anime, if I remember correctly. Of course, I could be completely mistaken, but it's been a while since I've seen episode 1. So yeah. I like these two because, well, like I said, very unique design, very cool designs. The popularity they had, as well as just being, if you, like I said, if you were really stuck in Viridian Forest for a while, this was the first electric type Pokemon you could catch in the game. With that said and done, let us move now on to number 1. And finally, but not least, Abracadabra and Alakazam. If you manage to catch an Abra, evolve it into a Kadabra, and then trade to your friend to evolve into a Alakazam, you had, back in Generation 1, even in Gen 2 and 3, you had one of the most powerful Psychic-type Pokemon next to Mewtwo, since there's no Legendaries on this list. As well as, this thing was just naturally OP. Psychic-type Pokemon back in the original generations were overpowered as all hell. You got these guys onto your team, you could literally send them out with one Psychic-type technique, one Electric-type technique, because they can learn most of the time an Electric-type or a Ice-type or whatever other type of attack, and you had yourself a winning team. This was overpowered, but they're here as well as for design-wise, as well as their names, Abracadabra and Alakazam. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, think about it. This is literally the evolution line. It's also the words a magician would use, Abracadabra Alakazam, and make it disappear. Their name is a unique little pun, as well as a unique design. Abra starts, if you manage to catch an Abra, since it always teleported the fuck away, you manage to catch it, level it up all the way to level 16, evolve into Kadabra, and evolve into Alakazam, you had yourself a powerhouse, and you were definitely winning the game. So, with that said and done, this is my top 10 list. For Kanto, next up is Johto. And I can't wait to hear your opinion on this, guys. Don't leave a comment in the comments below. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. Thank you. Have a good day or night.